Okay, I will not lie to you. I did touch the application while I was not recording. That's a bit awkward thing, but I'll tell you what did I touched out there. So I don't need this guy. Why I clicked on that, I really don't have any idea for that. But again, I would like to go into the main storyboard. And what I did was, again, I touched the little bit of this. I moved on this application, clicked on the view, and I have changed it to the background color. As well as I have changed the button color. I really don't like that blue one in this case. So I changed it to the black. And in fact, what I would like to do is I would like to select this and I'll call it as add bike. That would be much better. Okay. And also what I did that I forgot to add the prototype cells. So I hope everyone knows how to do that. Also, I just clicked on that and clicked and dragged it onto this view controller that says I checked mark the data source. I checked mark to delegate as well. Also, I have selected the table view previously and got out there with the prototype cell as one. And once the prototype cell is being selected, I have named that identifier as a sale. So go ahead, quickly make those changes. It's really not that tough and everyone can do that. Quite easy. And now it's time to get rid of that. So what is our priority? The first priority is to make sure that application saves the entire data, and we will be doing the data, we'll be entering the data from the second screen. So once we enter that, we will be implementing all those functionality like a swipe to delete, saving of the data, touch begins where user can tap anywhere on the screen and the keyboard goes off, and all such things. So what I have done here is I have added a bike collected, which is a variable, and I have initialized it as a string type, and that's how you initialize it. Okay, so first priority is to save the data, because an application who cannot save the data is really the old days. You will not be surviving that. You learn that skill how to save that data, and this is going to be your first point for that. So a good point where I want to save the data is actually it's a couple of points. First, whenever the view loads up. Second, whenever I delete my application or any data from the table, in fact. And the third one would be when I click on the button in the second screen. So these are the points, and I'll be showing you a couple of ways to save the data. First, what I need to do is update my array of bike collected, which is a string type, and I would be having ns. Suggest me something, guy. ns user, I need to type all it, and I hate that. User default, because I sucks in spelling. So default, ns user defaults dot, and this time it works. Standard user default, and this time what I want to use is object for key. So I'll be typing object for key. And it's just asking me for the string that you want to save the data, and it's just the same string, and I want to give it bike collected. Okay, good. Okay, so I have saved it, but I need to refer it to as what I am saving. So I'm pretty sure that is going to be, and I'm actually typing it as a string. So I know that the array which is about to come is a string type array and can be typecasted as a string. And I have added an exclamation just to make sure that yes, I'm good with that. But this is the classic mistake that every rookie does. And what is the mistake? Although this line is good enough to save your data, but it will only save the data when the user presses the home button or OS decides to save it. But what about when your application crashes, or without hitting the home button, you have the user has just closed the simple screen, or your app might have crashed in that time. So what you might want to have is ns user defaults dot standard user default dot synchronize. Okay, this, whenever this line is going to run, it will say that yes, this is the time to synchronize the data and we are good. But we are going to get a crash now, because it is going to say there is nothing inside the bike collected. And what do I save that? So we need to say that on the blank screen, don't save anything. So I'll select this guy because this is responsible for saving everything. So I'll hit a command C, and I'll be doing a quick check with the if loop. So I'll say if this guy is not equals to nil, then only run this process. Otherwise, I'll not mention the else case. Okay, so good. We are checking that if there is nothing on the screen, don't do anything. If there's something on the screen and the view is about to appear, then simply just save everything and synchronize it as well. Okay, first thing is done, but one thing is still remaining, and that thing simply says, I'll just delete a couple of lines out here so that I'll just neat it out. Okay, now the next process is to just load the table, and we haven't loaded the table. So those two classic methods, if you remember it, or you have your coded file open up, you can simply copy and paste these guys, and there we go. And I need to close that. And what I need to do in this is number of rows in section. So if you remember, what we used to do in the table view is, first of all, we get number of rows in section, and then we have a cell for row at index path. So those two, first just returns the number of counts that really wants to appear on the screen, and second just returns the cell, which is just a UI table view cell. Okay, if I lost you while saying so much times of table, just rewatch that. So what we want to do is return by collected dot count, and there we go. Okay, good so far, but we missed out one thing, that here at this place, UI view controller, we need to add up a few things. That is, first of all, is going to be UI table view delegate, and also I would like to have a UI table view data source. That's it. Save it and error will come up. Yes, there is. Nothing to worry. We are defining a protocol, but we are not following the protocol. It's quite a common one, nothing much fancy. And once I have defined the number of rows in section, then after that, what I would like to define is the next guy, and everyone knows what the next guy is. And here we have, and there we go. We ends up like that. Okay, so what we need to do inside that, define a variable, call it cell, you can call it anything, and that should be of UI table view cell. And as soon as I open up my bracket, we need this guy, the last one. And what we need to say is, what is your style of that? So my style is UI table view cell style. Suggest me something. This bottom one, the style dot default one is good for us, and the identifier which we have given to the prototype cell is just cell. It's quite easy. Okay, next thing we know to do is change the label of the text. So how we can do that is cell dot text label dot text, and it will autofill me with an optional, and it can be like by collected, and we need to get onto the particular row of that. So how we can do that? Yes, you guessed it right. We can do that by index path dot row and return that cell. And notice one more thing, that we are returning the cell, and this one says that you need to return the object of UI table view cell, and that is why we have created the cell as an object of UI table view cell. Okay, quite good. So everything is done with this file. And the next thing that is still remaining, that one thing I haven't discussed so far, that there are a couple of other methods that we can call up, and one of them which I would like to call it is view did appear. Now why I need that? Because let's say we are moving from first screen to second screen and coming back onto first screen, we want data to be appear already there. So what I would like to have is, I would like to have my table, and I would like to reload the data in it. Okay, quite good. And the next code that I'll be pasting is, I already have, and that code is nothing fancy. It just says that it will appear and it will contain the functionality of the delete. And we have already discussed that quite a lot. So I'll be skipping that. Make sure that you make a couple of changes out here. Okay, so what are those changes? So we are having that, and we are missing one thing. Okay, save that. And it's saying table.reload data. So why we need a table.reload data at this point of time? And if I say, in fact, I did a typo in that. Now I have to type this always as TABEL, not TABLE. Quite an insane move. but still I'll just have that. Okay, so what we are saying, that make sure that you change that as this line. So I told you that how many times I'm going to save this? 3 times. Whenever I move, I delete it, the page is reloaded, and whenever I hit the button. But notice that first time we were using object for keys because we are creating, first of all, we are creating it at that time like object for keys, but this time we don't need to have that. Again, you can have used that as well, but this time I would like to set my object only. But again, feel free to use this as well. You just have to little bit tweaks onto that, but still it's a good. So our first file is done. We have done all the functionality for the first time. What we have done, let me quickly summarize that. We have created an array that will be holding your data. Inside the view did load, we did a saving functionality out here. The table views are quite common, having a number of counts that we want to have on the table, representing what should appear on that table. We have view did appear a method being called, and we want to reload our table in that, and this code for delete functionality. And inside the delete functionality, we are reloading the table as well as we are saving that. Quite common, nothing much fancy. And let me bring that guy and try to have a second view controller, get rid of that. And inside that, there is not going to be much inside this file because it's the easy one. And let me just add the functionality because we are running out of the time. So let me want to have that. And what we'll be doing is inside the button, let me just show you that first of all, what we need to do is bike collected.append, but simply we are appending the array as bike.text, and make sure there is an optional because it says that yes, the data, whatever it is coming is text or simply the string. And after that, we are saving the data. Once the data is being saved, after that we are just making sure that the text field is empty now. And after that we are resigning from being first responder, because as soon as the button is being clicked, we simply just want to get rid of that nasty keyboard. Really, it's not that nasty, it's a good one. And also I would like to add a couple of lines which we have already discussed in the previous movie. And there we go, the touch begins. Let me get a little bit of room out there. So what it will does, simply when the user clicks anywhere outside, not on the button and not on the text view, it will just resign being the first responder. Okay, quite easy one. Time to test our app because I have written it perfectly because I have already tested it out. And let me run that. And here we go. And here we go. I would like to get this one out here, just like that. And here we go. So first view is good, looking good. Second view, and I would like to add a bike, and I would say Fat Bob. Okay, add a bike. Okay, so first responder is working. As soon as I click add bike, the first responder has resigned and the keyboard is gone. If keyboard is not going on, make sure hardware and the keyboard and toggle is being selected. Okay, add one more bike, and this should be, let's say Iron. Iron is again a Harley Davidson bike. This time I'll touch somewhere else. And notice the keyboard goes again. Tested number 2. Good. Add bike, and it does added. Click on that. And Fat Bob is Iron out there. I would like to just close or terminate my application to just see that if my saving is working or not. And yes, it's working. Add one more just for a fancy. And what I would like to have is, let's say street, the new one, street 750, and add bike, go on to the first screen, and let's say I already have Iron. So I'll just swap that, and notice the delete functionality is working. Delete that and just crash the app, or simply just stop that and run that. And we are expecting 2 bikes. Okay, it's looking good, working fine. Perfectly, we have achieved a goal. Now what's your task in that? Okay, your task is just to create a simple text label onto the launch screen and just have a label out there that about to launch. That's it. And what I would again recommend you that now you have watched, and in fact some of you have just paused the video momentarily and tried to type what I am typing exactly. Okay, now that you have done, now close my videos. Now try to replicate the exact app but without looking onto my videos. Quite a tough one, but try to do that. Believe me, you will get immense confidence while doing so. That's a tested thing I have over the years. Just try to do that.